Hey guys, let us study factors influencing elasticity of demand today. Now today's lecture, at the start of the lecture itself, I'll give you one simple trick to understand the entire answer. That is, see, think logically, anything is there if you can wait and postpone its consumption, anything, whatever you are going to consume, if you can wait and postpone its consumption, if it is possible, then the demand will be relatively elastic. Now think logically. What's the meaning of relatively elastic? Relatively elastic means changeable demand. That means in that case we can wait a bit for the price fall and then we can buy the commodity. So if we are in a position for the consumption of a particular commodity, if we are in a position to wait, to postpone the consumption at least for some time or so, then the demand will be relatively elastic. On the other hand, if we are going to consume such a commodity or such a thing that we cannot wait or we cannot postpone its consumption, so no postponement, no wait is possible, in that case the demand for that commodity will be relatively inelastic. Inelastic means non-changeable. That means immediately you will consume whatever may be the price because you cannot postpone the consumption. So simple logic, simple trick. If no postponement means relatively inelastic, and if consumption can be postponed, then relatively elastic. Now let us start with the actual answer. Elasticity of demand EOD depends upon several factors such as point number 1, nature of commodity. Nature of commodity means, see, the goods can be of necessary category or they may be of comfort and luxury. Now again apply your logic. Necessary goods, the demand will be relatively inelastic. Inelastic means non-changeable because they are necessary. Anyways, we have to buy it, whatever may be the price. So inelastic demand. In case of comforts and luxuries, it's up to our choice. We may wait also for some days, some time. So it is relatively elastic, changeable demand. Coming to the second factor, availability of substitutes. Again think logically, apply the same trick. If there is no substitute, that means we don't have option, so we can't wait, we can't postpone. So in that case, inelastic demand means non-changeable demand. On the other hand, if a product has available substitute in the market, then we may go for the substitute, so it has relatively elastic demand. Whoever's price is less, people would go for that product in case of substitute commodities. I hope you are getting my point. Since I gave you the trick, so I am rushing in the answer. Point number 3, number of uses. If a commodity has single use, that means comparatively inelastic or less elastic demand because we are putting just for single use. But if the product has multi-use, see, in case of multi-use, we need the commodity in larger quantity. Normally, that's the logic. In case of multi-use, we require the commodity in large quantity and hence it has more elastic demand, more changeable demand, because normally we will wait for the price fall and then we buy more. So it has more elastic demand. Number 4, habits. In case of habitual goods, whatever is the price, we buy the product. So it is relatively inelastic demand. That means non-changeable demand. Next point, point number 5, durability. In case of durable goods, there is relatively elastic demand because they are durable, they are for a longer period of time. So we can wait for the purchases and no issue. But in case of perishable goods, the demand is inelastic demand. Perishable goods means normally our daily items, daily use items. So we have to use them daily on the continuous basis. They fall under necessary normally and hence inelastic demand or non-changeable demand. In case of complementary goods, there is relatively inelastic demand, non-changeable demand because complementary goods have to be used jointly. So we can't change the demand, there is inelastic demand, they have to be used together. Next, point number 7, income of the consumer. If a consumer is rich, if a consumer has higher income, then in that case it is inelastic demand because consumer don't mind paying more. So there is no change in demand. Whatever is the price, if consumer needs the commodity, he will directly buy it. So inelastic demand. Whereas on the other hand, people with the low income group, relatively comparatively poor people we may say, so in that case it is relatively elastic demand because normally the demand changes as per the price of the commodity. They have to consider it. Next point, point number 8, urgency of wants. If the product is urgently needed, high urgency of want, then in that case inelastic demand or non changeable demand. Whereas, as I said at the start of the lecture, if there is less urgency, if we can postpone the consumption, if we can wait for the product, then it has relatively elastic demand, that means changeable demand. We will wait for the price fall and hence relatively elastic demand. Coming to the 9 point, proportion of expenditure. Here, try to understand the point. Proportion of expenditure means whatever percentage of your total income you spent on a particular commodity. So what is the price of commodity, and normally what percentage of your income you spent on the commodity. For example, daily we need newspapers, we need milk, so that is comparatively less percentage of our income we spent on those daily needs, and that's why the demand is relatively inelastic, non changeable demand, because it forms very small percentage of our total income. That expenditure, that milk expenditure or that newspaper expenditure, that forms a very few percentage, less percentage of our total income, and that's why the demand is inelastic, means non changeable. Even if the price of newspaper goes little bit higher or the price of milk goes higher, still we are going to buy it at the same rate, same quantity we will consume, and that's why inelastic demand. On the contrary, if any other commodity is there which consumes or for which we have to spend a large proportion, a high proportion of our income, it is higher percentage expenditure of our income, then in that case the demand will be relatively elastic or changeable demand. I hope the point is clear. Now the last point, point number 10, time period. See, the EOD, that means elasticity of demand, also depends in upon the time period. During a short period of time, normally there is no change in demand. Inelastic demand is observed during a short period of time. Whereas during a longer period of time, if the long period of time goes before the consumption, if the longer period of time is available with the consumer, then in that case the demand will be relatively elastic because our choices may change during the long run, and hence the demand becomes relatively elastic demand. So thus today we finished with the elasticity of demand, the factors, sorry, not finished. Today we studied factors influencing elasticity of demand. One more question is remaining, which we will cover in the next lecture. So let us see today's point in short. EOD depends upon several factors such as nature of commodity, availability of substitute, number of uses, habits, durability of goods, complementary goods, income of the consumer, urgency of wants, proportion of expenditure, and time period. That's what we saw today. So that's it for today. If you have understood the lecture, if it's of use, do like and subscribe to my channel and share the lecture. Thanks for watching.